description, thank you so much, on something that doesn't relate to necessarily impacting them, right? But this is talking about the usage of slurs particularly.
And like I said to you before, by default, I wouldn't be using those slurs, but if granted
But do you think it's
permission,
okay for other white people to use it?
like I said to you, if they say that it's okay, then I
If
would say
one
yes.
person, right? But does it need to be like an entire community, a majority, or just one person in that community?
I think it depends on who you're using that term in front of. So if it is that one individual that has said yes, then yes.
Yeah, so there's no issue if a white person goes up to their one black friend, right, and calls them the N-word, given the fact that their one black friend was okay with it.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, so it's okay for a white person to go up to their one black friend and call them the N-word because their black friend said it was okay for to call them the N-word.
Yes, if they have given consent for that previously, I would say yes.
Okay, so for example, would you extend that same thing to other types of slurs? Appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much. Like if someone was told by a gay person that they can use the F slur, is it okay for them to call that gay person the F slur?
Sorry, I'm not actually sure what the F slur is.
You don't know what the slur is targeted towards gay people?
No, I'm not sure.
Do you know what a cigarette is referred to in Britain?
No, I'm from Australia.
Okay. Well, okay. Do you know what the R slur is?
Yeah, wait, actually, no. Can you spell it?
It starts with an R and an E and ends with a D.
Oh gosh, no, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I don't think you even know any of the slurs we're talking about then.
I have been on here for a while, but I probably just wasn't paying attention to the
I think you should look up what these terms are and look up the history behind them, and then maybe try to come on another time.
Okay, all right.
Okay, for sure. All right, we're gonna go to the next person. Only send a guest request. If you disagree, we're just looking for some debates. Everyone keep tapping that screen. Let's try to get to 1 million likes. If you want to help get it out to more people, share the live. Let's try to get to 1,000 shares, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
51.
Yeah, do you think it's wrong to say, okay to say slurs if you're a part of the community? If you're not a part of the community?
I think it's wrong to say slurs, even if you are part of the community, because
What's wrong with people a part of that community reclaiming the word?
I was watching the live when you were talking with, I believe his name is J Mike.
You mean J-Man?
Yeah, J Man. Well, see, my problem is this. The word, although reclaimed, okay, still can be used in a negative connotation. So, words that can be used in a negative connotation, although reclaimed, can still be used to harm, can still be used to diminish, and can still be used to denigrate, even inside the community that has reclaimed that particular word. So the problem here is you're saying, society is saying it's not okay for you to use this word when you're talking about this particular group. This particular group has reclaimed this word and now they use it. And inside of that group, that word is being used in a positive manner and also in a negative manner. So to me, I don't think the word has lost any of its power just because it's been reclaimed by a community. I think it still has the power to denigrate a person, to say something in a bad way to that person using that word. And again, it's just a word, and although it does cause it's bout of trauma. I will admit that to certain people, but again, it is merely a word. In the case that you were explaining about the mass shooter, Pew Pewer, who wrote it on a gun and then went into some pew pew and went into a place and then targeted people of color at that place, and the name that the N word was written on his weapon, and he, did what he did. I think blaming that on that particular word is kind of tantamount to taking the responsibility from the person,
By
because
the way, that's misrepresenting what we were saying there. We're not saying that it was solely dependent upon the word. We're saying that the word influenced this particular that happened. The dehumanization caused by this particular word existing and being used against people who are black in America was exactly the very basis for this particular crime. That's what people were saying.
So if you take away the word, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was wanting to address the other stuff, like when it relates to like the other things. You said that it doesn't take away the power of the particular thing, right? The only notion isn't just to take away the power. It does take away some sorts of power necessarily to reclaim a word, right? But that doesn't mean that every single usage of the term is like justified then, right? When it relates to this sort of situation, right? Clearly speaking, you can see negative connotations in which this term could be used. We didn't like dispute that either.
Okay, well, clearly, I mean, but I don't believe that the word should be used. Period. And this, I'm gonna focus on this one particular word, the N word. I don't think that word should be used. Period. Because to say that you reclaimed a word that was used in a negative connotation for decades and hundreds of years. To say that you reclaimed that word and that you've taken it and now it's used in a I guess it said that it's used in a as a term of endearment, is to me, I don't think it's all the time used as a term of endearment. So if you can still use the word, even though it's in the community and they reclaimed it, even if you can still use that word in a way to harm people or to hurt people or to denigrate people or to in a mean way, then I don't.
I don't think that's entailed given the fact that you can use it,
I
by
think
the
there's
way.
other words that you can use to as a term of endearment that probably would mean more and kind of point toward more of an endearment use than the N word. Even though, again, I'm going to say it again, even though it's been quote unquote reclaimed by the community, because back in the 80s and 90s when black was the thing to be, I guess you could say, that was the slogan, black is the thing to be. We called each other brother, cuz, homie, things like that. And those words, I think, have less probability to be used in a negative way than the N word does in the community. Because I see it all the time. I see the word used in a positive way, and I see the word used in a negative way. And I think if it truly is a term of endearment, then it shouldn't be a problem saying that word to people that you hold dear, and that in your community and in your family that you hold dear. And I don't think there are too many African American individuals out there who would walk up to their parents and be like, "Hey, mom, you're my N word," or "Hey, dad, you're my N word," because it, it. I think it's a falsified dichotomy that it's being used in the black community as a term of endearment when it's.
I didn't make the claim that it was only being used in that context.
No, I'm not saying you made the claim. I'm just saying.
I mean, like, I'm confused why we're bringing up in this context then.
Because I don't think it's a word that should be used. Period. I think the word should be put to sleep, and I think it should be buried, and we should have a funeral for it.
I think it's valid to have that type of opinion, right?
Strengthening words.
But like, I wouldn't have an issue with someone who was also a part of the community saying that like they're okay with the usage of that particular term or having an argument about like using that particular term, right?
So if 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 okay, I'm going to explain it like I'll say it like this. Okay, if the people in the community that use the word um, use it in a negative connotation toward the people that the people in their community that they're supposedly using it in a as a term of endearment to, right? If they use it in a negative way, and then a white person, calls them the same word, and they use it in a negative way, it makes it just as bad because you're using the word in a negative way or using it as a slur to your own community, and then it seems a little hypocritical to me when a person that's outside of the community comes and says the word, and you get mad at them right after using the word in a negative connotation toward people in your own community. I think
Wait, there's a distinction
it
though
doesn't really make
between,
a whole lot of sense to me.
isn't there a distinction though between, like, in terms of like the power dynamic that exists from someone that's not a part of the community versus someone who is a part of the community saying the word?
I would say, yeah, there is a power dynamic, but the problem still lies that it's a hypocritical. It's
Why?
hypocritical because you got this person who's outside of the community, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a white person. It could be anybody else from outside of the community that says it, and you have a problem with it, but you're using it, and I'm not saying you specifically, I mean a person is using it in a negative connotation toward people in the community. You understand what I'm saying? People in
Yeah,
their
but
own
I get
community.
again. Do you see the distinction that I'm forming?
I kind of do, but it still, I mean,
So
it still seems
if there
kind of
is a clear
hypocritical.
distinction, like a relevant distinction that I just provided, right? Wouldn't that then mean that it's not hypocritical because there's a relevant
I
distinction?
would say so because it's not always it's not always a person who has the power dynamic that uses the word in a negative way toward this community. So, like, let's say you have a person who's also in a community that's a minority, right? And that person has a friend who's in the black community, and he walks up to that person and he says, "Hey, my N word, what's up?" And he gets bashed for it. I don't see, because that person didn't have a power, because that person's community doesn't have a power dynamic over the other minority community. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to use that word when that word, of course, has been reclaimed again for the black community, and the black community apparently has reclaimed it and used it as a term of endearment, but yet it's still used in a negative connotation a lot of times. I don't see where
Yeah. So like
I don't see where that person would be
we've
wrong.
argued against people using it in a connotation that is racist, right? Even if it is someone like someone who's black, right? In a racist connotation to like reinforce the systems of like white supremacy.
Okay, but what happens when it's not a white person?
I literally just said that.
Okay, so I'm still not getting what you're saying,
Would you not
because
understand with what I just said?
I'm not understanding how okay, if it's one minority to another minority, all right, so there's no power dynamic, there's no racist connotation,
Wait, there can
but
be
it
a
is
racist
but it is a
connotation, right?
negative.
I have a question. Do you think that Jewish people can be racist towards other Jewish people or anti-Semitic?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is such thing as self-hate. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we're
or
referencing
ethnic
here, right?
ethnic hate. But in the same respects, though, I mean, this is an equal community. I mean, this is a community that's equal to the community that the word is being to the person's community that the person is using it toward. So,
I'm confused what you're saying. Can you restate that?
I'm saying, okay, let's take two minorities. All right. And I don't want to,
like, do you understand that, like, the reclamation of the word is because, right, it was used against them, whereas when it relates to white people, it wasn't used against them, right, for a history of oppression.
yeah, I totally understand that. I mean,
That's a
I
very
totally
clear
understand that.
delineation to me in terms of these different actions. So I don't understand how that could be hypocritical. But I also do want to say that this doesn't disagree with my topic, by the way. Because you're not making the argument that it's okay to use slurs if you're not a part of the community.
Well, that's what that's the argument I'm trying to make. I mean, if you're
You
going to
are
say
saying
that,
it's okay to use slurs?
I'm saying that I'm not saying it's okay, but what I'm saying is that if one minority community is using this particular slur within their community, all right, and this particular community has reclaimed that word from the white superiority complex and has made it their own, and they use the word in a negative connotation, and and then someone from an outside community, which happens to be a minority community, also uses that word. I'm not saying they should have every right to, but I think it shouldn't be looked at as bad as if a white person comes along and says it. I mean, of course,
But they're both looked at as bad.
It's considered bad as.
I mean, I think they're bad. Okay, so I'm going to try to find
minority
someone
to
who disagrees
minority,
with
I
the
don't think
topic.
it should be a problem.
I'm going to try to find someone who disagrees with the topic, but I do appreciate you coming on, man.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go to the next person. Everyone, only send a guest request if you disagree. We are just looking for some debates. Keep tapping that screen, y'all. Let's try to get to to 1 million likes. Everyone, if you want to help get it out to more people, share the live. Let's try to get to 2,000 shares, y'all. All right, give it a second, everyone. We're going to get people up here real quick. We'll try to get some people up here. Everyone, keep tapping that screen in the meantime, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Okay, someone's like hanging out with their child. I'm confused. Keep tapping that screen, everyone. Again, let's try to get to 1 million likes, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I am 28.
Yeah, do you think that it's okay to say slurs if you're not a part of the community?
I mean, to be honest, I think people should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. Now, whether someone gets offended is a different story. You know that story stick.
Do you think it's bad for someone to say slurs if they're not a part of the community?
I really, the way I see it is, if someone wants to say it, say it. You shouldn't let what people call you or what people say to you dictate your life. If you let what someone says dictate your life, then you got a rude awakening. This world's going to eat you alive.
Okay, so if I told you that my mom just got diagnosed with cancer and you made fun of it, would that be a bad thing?
Making fun of cancer or your mom having cancer? That's two different things.
My mom having cancer. That's what I just said.
Well, you're comparing using slurs to your mom.
Can you just answer my question, bro?
Okay, listen here, you little bitch. I will knock the fuck out of you.
Did you actually unironically just get so angry at me that you just said that? There's no fucking way.
Dude, no, you don't disrespect me. All I said was you're comparing two different fucking things. Look at you. You're comparing two different things.
I literally just asked you. I asked you a damn question, bro.
And a word.
I asked you a question and you just threatened to like assault me. Like, that is hilarious, dude. You're real tough, bro.
You're being you're comparing cancer to a word. And you're like,
I'm asking you. You want me to tell you why I'm comparing?
No, homie. No. What I'm
Hank
saying
Hill,
is,
do you want me to tell you why?
how are you comparing an illness with a slur? How are you doing that? Are
I
you
can tell you why, Hank. Give me a second.
Get the fuck. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Hey, can I oh, Hank Hill just left. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm really confused. I don't know why he got so angry. The reason why I was comparing is because I was just going to show him that there are some words that you can say that is bad, right? I don't know. That was the position I was referencing. So I don't know. He got really angry and threatened to assault me. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next person. If you like the content, follow me. If you haven't already, everyone, keep tapping that screen. You already know the deal. I don't know why I got him angry. I'm really confused. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? All right, let's go into the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. If you're just as piping hot as the last guy that was on the live, make sure to send a guest request. We like them around piping hot, you know. We like them piping hot. All right, let's go to the next person. Everyone, keep tapping that screen. Let's get to the next person real quick. Again, only send a guest request if you disagree. Everyone, only send a guest request if you do disagree, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
23.
For sure. Do you think it's okay to use slurs if you're not a part of the community?
No, but I just wanted to say I really appreciate what you're doing, and you're so good at doing it. And I don't know, I'm really here for you, so I
Appreciate it.
love
Thank
it.
you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, of course.
W's in the chat. W's in the chat. Let's go to the next person. Again, only send a guest request if you do disagree, everyone. You already know we're just looking for some debates, so we're going to go to the next person real quick. You already know the deal. You already know the deal. All right, everyone, let's get to the next person. All right. For some reason, it's not accepting this person. He threatened to assault you, but he did not have a point that had nothing to do with the topic. Yeah, for sure. We got to go to the next person. Everyone, give it a second, y'all. Give it a second. All right, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, I'm 25.
Yeah, do you think it's wrong? I mean, okay to use slurs if you're not a part of the community?
Well, I think it's nuanced, to be completely honest with you. And, I will get somewhere with this, but first of all, love your lives, love what you do. I never guest request because I always agree with you for the most part. But, first of all, that Hank Hill guy, if you don't understand metaphors and analogies, it's a sign of low intelligence. But so I think that there's a lot of nuance to this issue. And I think that there is such a thing as jester's privilege that really gets shit on this day and age. And I also think that there are certain events in my own life personally where, it's not considered hate speech to use what would be called a slur, right? But realistically, Parker, like, I'm not the type of person that is going to use slurs in a hateful way. Right. I think what you're getting at here is hate speech, right? Like, you're looking for people that will overtly and outrightly use hate speech. And like, if that's the only people you're trying to attract, then I'm not.
Well, I think it's wrong
them.
to say slur. I think slurs are hateful in general. Right? I don't think that you can use a slur, right, if you're not a part of the community in a context in which is not hateful.
No. I mean, I think words in context can be used in different ways, right? Like, I can be hateful towards somebody without using a slur, right? So why would I not be able to be joking with somebody or be relating to somebody and use what you may or some people may call a
Give me a
slur?
context in which you could use the N-word.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's fair, right? Because I think
Why not?
specifically the N word is something that may be considered just generally not acceptable to use, right? Because, like,
That's kind of my
for
point.
example, well, but you're saying slurs, right? And, like, there's a lot of slurs or quote unquote slurs that you could use. But if you go directly to the N word, like, personally, I mean, based on the way that, like, modern times in the community and, like, generally people see that word, I think that it should be on par with hate speech in general, right? Because if I say I'm going to unalive you, Parker, right, in a non-joking context, that could very much be considered hate speech, right?
Well,
So
I'm just asking
why
you
not
like
put-
about slurs here, right? So, right. So again, what is you don't think there's a context in which you could use the N word? You think that's wrong in any context?
I mean, if you're going directly to just that word in general,
No,
then,
I'm just trying to
I mean,
establish a basis. Or do you think it's wrong?
to use the N word specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do think so.
in every context.
Yeah, I think if you're not a part of that community in every context, then yes, yeah.
Okay, well, why can't I apply that to the F slur and to the R word, stuff like that?
Well, I think it's based on the community and the way that they view it, right? And the way that society views it. I also think that it's based on historical context. And I understand that, like, the F slur does have some historical context behind it in terms of, like, that community. But that word specifically was not always used to denigrate that group of people. And, you know, I only say this because
But it was. And it is.
three of my I mean, it has been, but it wasn't used for 300 years to oppress hundreds of thousands of people.
It was for hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe not for 300 years in America right now, to the degree that you're referencing. But we can talk about hundreds of years throughout the context of society. You understand that, right?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about that word specifically, and, like, you want to get into the weeds about this, that word was only popularized to degrade that group of people in America post 1900. So, I mean, and post 1900, people weren't being murdered and castrated for that orientation. So, like, I mean, I understand, right? And the anecdote that I wanted to give you is, like, three of my closest friends in the world. I mean, I consider them my best friends. They're homosexual, and I love them, right? And, like, 6 or 7 years ago,
So let me ask you the question: where did you get that information about the history?
Where did I get it? Just on the internet.
Where on the internet?
I mean, Wikipedia. I've looked into this stuff before. If you want me to go pull sources, I can. I know you've talked about that a lot, but
so Wikipedia. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at Wikipedia, it's been used in reference to people who are gay, right? Since the 16th century, it says.
where does it say? I mean, in
Under
what
the etymology.
regions?
Under the etymology.
No, yeah, but I asked which regions.
What regions? It doesn't specify on the Wikipedia page. This is your own source.
Yeah, I mean, I only ask because that would be like directly relevant to, first of all, the amount of people it affected and also how they used it. And there's also like, again, if you want to go into the weeds on this, I think that there's like a lot to dig into in terms of like that word, how they used it, who it affected, how it affected them, and that sort of stuff, right? And I'm not, first of all,
So my point is that
saying,
do you think it's okay to use the F slur if you're not a part of the community?
well, I'll be completely honest with you. In context with my friends that are homosexual, they've called me that before in a joking context.
They're
right?
gay, right? I'm asking if you think it's okay for you to say it.
Well, when I've said that back to them, they have been receptive to it, laughed, like.
Does that mean that
I
it's
don't
okay for you to say it?
I mean, I think in that context, yes. Yeah.
So just because, right, someone okayed you to say it in that context, that means you think it's okay, right? So if a black person went up to a white person and said you can say the N-word, right, does that then justify them saying the N-word as a white person?
I mean, there's probably a direct like skew in logic, but no, I don't necessarily think it's okay with that word.
Why?
But the thing is that, I think that there is a certain amount of context and also jester's privilege that should be applied to these words that could be referred to as slurs, but also could just be referred to as words, right? And I think that, again, which a lot of people have said already, but I think that the context is really important, because I could say a lot of things to people that would be hate speech, right? And I'm not the type of person that would say.
Can we address the fact that you just didn't use the same reasoning? Like, why?
I personally think that the reason that I didn't use the same reasoning is because of the general public's view on it, first of all, and then the direct correlation that it has to oppression.
Okay, so you don't think that it has a direct view when it relates to oppression, when it relates to like the F slur?
I definitely think that that word has been used to oppress people, yes. But there have been a lot of words that have been used to oppress people that aren't necessarily slurs.
Yeah, but this is a context of the fact that there's oppression, there's history behind it used to dehumanize people, right? To discriminate, right? Within that context, that would absolutely be considered a slur in my view. So what's your definition of a slur?
Well, what if I'm not using it to dehumanize somebody? What if I'm not using it to hate somebody? What if I'm using it to relate to somebody?
I think it's again, that's the history. So do you want to tell me what your definition of a slur is?
Right. I mean, I think that there's a skew in logic. I think that a slur specifically is a word that's used to hate.
A slur is a word used to hate.
That is used to hate.
So if I use the term schmeezus to hate on someone, right? Is that a slur?
I mean, if you're using it directly to hate somebody and to dehumanize them, then sure, yeah, that could be considered a slur. Why not?
So schmeezus is a slur?
Parker, that's not fair, because
so the word ball can be so the word ball can be a slur.
Are you using it to hate somebody, or are you using it to
You're a ball.
them?
You're a ball. I'm dehumanizing you by calling you a ball. Is that a fucking slur?
Why does that dehumanize me?
Because I'm calling you an object that's not human. Do you think a ball is human?
No, I don't.
So wouldn't that be dehumanizing to call you a ball?
I mean, sure, dude. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you called me a ball
Yeah.
and you genuinely meant it, but if you did
You're a
that,
thermostat.
right. Yeah. I'm a thermostat, right? I'm used to determine the temperature in a room, right? But I would question your mental sanity, right? Because the thing is that I don't hate anybody because of their sexual orientation or their race.
No. But the point is that me calling you a thermostat is a slur. Is that your view?
I think that you personally, like you as one person, if you're using that word to dehumanize me, sure.
Yeah. You're a thermostat.
Consider it a slur.
So yeah, it's a slur.
Well, you understand what I'm getting at, right? Like,
Yeah, no. Is it a slur? Answer my question.
Are you using it to hate me?
Yes.
That's my question to you.
Yes.
Then yes, it's a slur.
Okay.
Because
so real.
again, what I'm getting at is the context of the word, right? This is not like an issue of do you hate somebody because of who they are? This is an issue of vocabulary and how it's used. Right? So if you use that vocabulary to hate me or hate somebody else, then yes, it's a slur.
You're cute. But what I mean by cute is like I'm trying to dehumanize you to act like you're not human, right? And then also I'm using it to hate you. Is that a slur?
Right, like I'm an object. Yeah.
Is that slur? Is that a slur?
Again, it depends on your intention. It really does.
Yeah, I'm hating on you, right? And I'm dehumanizing you.
Yes.
Yes.
But
okay. So real, dude. So real. Saying you're cute, that's a slur. That's so real.
Well, but that, like, dude, you're totally ignoring the span of humanity that uses that word directly as a term of endearment.
Well,
So
I mean,
so you could be using it as
you're
a slur.
directly ignoring
Absolutely.
when you use those slurs. You're directly ignoring the effect that it has on people in terms of discrimination, oppression, and hatred.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree with you, which is why I would never use those slurs or I guess what you would call slurs.
You did say you used those slurs towards gay people.
In a context where it was full of hatred. Right? Like those words were used.
Oh, so if a white person goes up to a black person
in a joking manner.
Yeah, so if a white person goes up to a black person and calls them the N-word, but doesn't hate them when they say that, is it still a slur?
If they don't know that person, absolutely.
But it's not using a method of hatred
100%.
there.
But the thing is that other person doesn't understand the context in which they're referring to.
Oh, okay. So you're saying only in the context in which they understand it.
Yes. That's
so if they
what I've been getting
misperceive
at.
you in a scenario, then you did something wrong. If they thought you meant something different than you actually meant, even though you've established boundaries in that relationship, then you did something wrong there. Like if your friend just one day was like, yo, wait, why are you saying that? I don't know what you mean now. Then it's bad.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree with that. Because the thing is that those boundaries should be established between people. Right? Because the thing is, Parker, right? Like, I could make a joke with one of my friends that is, related to like, oh, I'm going to unalive you, right? But if they don't understand that context, they could consider it a legitimate threat. in the same way that they could perceive one of those words as hateful. But if they understand the context, then they'll see that I'm joking.
So if you just say that I'm joking, right, then it's fine in any context. Even if they don't like that you say that if you're joking.
That's not what I said. I didn't say that anything can be forgiven because I said I'm joking. I said that there's boundaries established beforehand.
So so if that person chooses at any point to say, I don't like this, even though they've set those boundaries, then it's wrong for you to have said that.
Yes.
Okay, so it's completely dependent upon the person who is hearing it. Okay, so
it's like it's related to. I mean, like,
so when there's no one there, right? There's no one around you. Is it okay for you to say the N-word?
I mean, I would never do that personally.
No, but is it okay?
I don't know because
what do you mean you don't know? There's no one there. There's literally no one there.
I just wouldn't do it. It's not a thought that crosses through my mind, right?
But is it okay?
And if it did, then
is it okay though? Right? You know what you mean. There's no one else that could misconstrue you. Is it wrong?
Right. So if I'm in the middle of the woods, thousands of miles
you're by yourself,
right? I mean, if that thought crossed my mind, if it's not in a hateful manner, then what harm does it do?
Marvin, I appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much. David, I appreciate the hands up. So you do think it's okay for you to say the N-word in that context?
It's just funny because I would never do it, right? But you're trying to get me to say I feel that I would.
No, I'm just asking what your position is.
I mean, I genuinely believe that if it's not coming from a hateful stance, if you're not looking to put anybody down or make them feel less than or make them feel dehumanized or make them feel like they are nothing, then the word means nothing.
Oh, so in that context, there's nothing wrong about you saying the N-word.
I mean, if that's the case, then yes, right? Because the word doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't mean anything.
Is it okay for you to make a grape joke if you're by yourself?
Again, dude, I would never do that. Like,
I'm just asking if you think it is okay. I'm not saying you do this. I'm just asking if you think it is okay.
You know what, dude? Like, I think if you're that type of person that would genuinely think about that, if you're in the middle of the woods by yourself, if you're thinking about that, there's something wrong with you. And I feel the same about like the N-word or like the F word even, right? Like we talked earlier about like me having homosexual friends that have like obviously said like, yeah, use this in a joking manner when you're with us, right? But I think if you're thinking about any of those things when you're completely alone, then there's something wrong, right? Like that's not something that I do.
What was my question? I'm 6. I appreciate the little crown.
I know what the question was. So
then why didn't you answer it?
I think that I did answer it. I think that specifically
really?
with
I don't know when you did.
With the grape thing, dude. Like with the grape thing, that's horrendous. I mean, you know,
is it okay for you to think about that and to make fun of it out loud?
You just asked, is it okay for me to think about it and make fun of it out loud? No.
No, okay, but there's no one else around you. Appreciate the handout, thank you. There's no one, quote unquote, being harmed.
Well, whether there is or not, I mean, thinking about grape is terrible, dude. I don't know.
About saying the N-word is also terrible. Appreciate the confetti, thank you so much.
And that's literally what I just said.
Yeah,
right?
But you said it was okay for you to say it. Appreciate the handout. Thank you so much. Because there's no one around you that would have been harmed. That was your view.
Well, you're conflating grape with you're conflating thinking about graping somebody with saying a word that has no meaning if you're in a forest by yourself.
Well, neither does that joke in your mind. Right? If you made that joke, the word that refers to grape, right, has no meaning if you're by yourself, right?
If you're completely by yourself, then the
Thank you,
words,
Petty. I appreciate it.
the words have no meaning. But if the thoughts have action,
Yeah. So do they have any meaning?
that's
No.
terrible. Right.
No,
right.
in this
So,
scenario, there is none. So is it wrong?
So I'll put it this way, Parker. Right? If I'm thinking about doing something terrible to a black person or a homosexual, right, and I say those words, that's really bad, right? Because you conflated it with the grape thing. So if I'm thinking about that, then yes, it's horrendous, right?
But you're
what
not
I'm
harming
getting at
anyone.
is the vocabulary, the words.
Yeah, you're
don't
just using those
actually
words.
mean anything.
What do you mean? They don't
So-
represent the dehumanization. They don't
so-
represent anything bad.
So let's specify. So let's specify. In this scenario, the words don't actually have any meaningful thought behind them.
Neither do the words in this scenario because you're not talking about anyone. Like particularly, you're not saying anything in specific.
I'm asking you. No. I just asked you a question. I'm asking you a question. In this
was the question
scenario,
that I missed?
do the words have any meaningful thought behind them?
Yes. Even if I'm
If
by
they
myself, words have meaning. Like if I'm by myself, does the word fish still mean something? If I'm fishing by myself?
Ask that question
Rhea, I
to
appreciate
like
the
a
handout, thank you.
schizophrenic, dude.
What?
I mean, if I walk around a forest,
What? That didn't make any
saying,
sense.
What? Then what meaning does that realistically have, right?
Does the word fish have any meaning if I'm by myself? There's no other human on the planet anymore. It's just me by myself. Does the word fish have any meaning?
If the context doesn't imply that you're actually looking to eat a fish, then no.
No, if I'm no, I'm just thinking about a fish, right? Does it have any meaning?
If you're just sitting there thinking about a fish.
Yeah, and I'm the only fucking human on planet Earth.
Then yeah, you're directly referring to a fish.
Oh, so it does have meaning. Even though I'm by myself. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
you're directly referring to a word that has a history of oppression, discrimination, and hatred. Okay. You're
Sure,
still referring
yeah, but-
to something, even though you are by yourself.
Right, but if I'm a vegan and I would never harm a fish, then what does that mean to me?
I'm so confused. How does that relate to Michael? Anything I
Why
just said?
why are you confused, right? Because what I'm doing is
Because what you just said there
relating
had nothing to do
the
with what I was saying.
vocabulary. No. It has exactly.
I was relating to the
everything do
vocabulary with
that.
fish.
Because if you're sitting there thinking about fish, right, and you think the word fish, but you mean no harm to a fish, you love fish, then what does that word mean to you, right?
It's referring to that entity. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And your point?
My point is that the context in which you apply the vocabulary to means the world. Right? Like, I'll take this all the way back, right? What if those particular words were never used in a harmful way towards that group of people? Right? That the words wouldn't mean anything, right? And I do
it
understand-
wouldn't have that same meaning. It wouldn't be considerably a slur because it doesn't have that historical context.
Right. The words wouldn't necessarily mean anything, right? So
No, it could have a
in the
meaning. They're just not that
So
negative
what-
connotation.
Exactly, right? Words do have meaning. I understand what you're saying. but in the context of, first of all, relating to other people. I also will stand on this jester's privilege, and basically being able to like conflate those words with the context of what you're already talking about with a certain group of people, then what do those words realistically mean? Right?
I'm not tracking you, bro. I have no clue what you're saying. I'm not going to lie.
Parker, I'm talking about context of the words. Because what you're saying, right, is that these words have this historical context that make them dark, right? And I'm saying that I understand that these words have that historical context, which is why I would never use them at random or to hate people, but with people that I consider close to myself, if they would think, wow, that's funny. Wow, that helps me relate to that person. Wow, that like puts me in a place that's closer to that individual, then why would I not use them?
Because they have past acts of historical notions that were literally targeted to like oppress people and discriminate against them. And you shouldn't be trying to benefit yourself off of the backs of that particular word in which has such a terrible history.
But it's not in a selfish manner.
That literally is selfish. You were just saying the only reason you were doing it is because it benefited you.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's literally what you just said.
No, Parker, why would my relationships with other people be built on selfishness?
You did
I don't
you literally
know.
you literally just talked about the reason why you engaged in using that slur is because it's going to make you like bond more with that one person. That's literally what you just said.
Right. Like with my homosexual friends, I have used the F slur when they have set up a boundary that is totally okay with them. But that's not solely to benefit me. Right? Like, and this is like a fundamental...
Is it okay for you to say the N-word to another white person if they're okay with it?
No, let me finish my thought. This is not... Maybe this is like a fundamental difference that you and I share, but the relationships that I have with other people are not meant solely to benefit me. That's not why I have all of my relationships.
Did you hear the reason why I said that was the case? I feel like you didn't.
One more time?
Did you hear the reason I said as to why you said that? Why it was like selfish in that scenario? It's because you said that you were doing so for the sole benefit of yourself in terms of you being able to like connect with this one individual.
Yes, but that's not for my sole benefit. If that causes a moment of enjoyment or delight or like makes them laugh and makes them happy, then I didn't just benefit
So if a grape joke makes someone laugh, is it then okay?
Well, personally, I don't think so. No.
Okay. So I don't know why the use of slurs to make someone laugh would be okay, but making a grape joke wouldn't be okay. I mean, again, I think that there's a lot of nuance. I think that there's a lot of nuance to this, and like there's probably a fundamental difference that you and I share. But like, yeah, you're right. Like you're right. I agree with you that I would never use the N-word. I would never make a grape joke. But with this specific group of people, or with rather these friends that I have, I have found it appropriate, right? But like, I'm not going to go into a work meeting and use any of those words. Like, I'm not going to cuss at all in the first place. Okay. I think we're getting to a point of circularity. Is there anything else you want to talk about or add?
No.
All right, for sure, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I think that I'm done with this topic here for today. Do y'all want me to go to a different topic? I was thinking I have a few thoughts in my head. There's the one topic, the why am I beta topic, that we always get like really funny ones on. We only did that like once, so we might have to do that one. Do y'all want to see that one? Yeah. Yeah, beta, please. Should we hit a restart on the live, or should we just put the background on? I think that we should hit a restart on the live. What do y'all think? This topic is exhausting. I feel y'all on that. I say we restart. Restart? Okay. All right. Okay. We're going to hit a restart on the live. I'll be right back here in a second, everyone. Once I come back, we're going to share the fuck out of the live. We're going to tap the fuck out of the live, and we're going to see if we can get some funny conversations when it relates to the beta conversation. But I'll be right back, everyone. Give me 1 second. Love y'all so much. Give me 1 minute, everyone.